Hi, Mark Conroy, high school strength and conditioning coach. Today we're here at Milton Academy in Milton, Massachusetts, and I'm interviewing Steve Darling, who's the head strength and conditioning coach at Milton Academy. He's also the director of elite sports training summer program for athletes here at Milton Academy. So Steve, what do you think are the most important elements in developing a sound high school strength and conditioning coach?
Well, it's a funny question because there's so many things to look at. I think the first thing that I would have to look at is, do I have a space that I can work with kids and be designated as whether you call it a weight room, a fitness room, whatever it is. I know I'm very fortunate to have such a tremendous space here, but I know a lot of high schools don't.
Right, we're both in that situation. We had one, as you know, built by alumnus of the school.
And it was outstanding. And I know there's a lot of high schools now that are starting to build programs, starting to build weight rooms. And so you're going to see more and more pop up. But there also are a lot of schools that don't have maybe equipment, but maybe they have space that they can designate and start to build something in. So I think that's the first thing is to really find a designated space that you're going to use as your fitness center. The next thing I think once you get in as a coach is really trying to build, I think, trust and communication between the coaching staff. I think going in and talking to coaches, what are the strengths and weaknesses that you see with your athletes, your teams? What have you seen work in the past? I think trying to understand where they're coming from and then explain where you're coming from and try to find something in the middle, I think is very key. If the coaches don't buy into a strength and conditioning program or don't trust or believe in a strength coach, it makes it very difficult because the athletes on their team see that and they won't take it as serious as they probably should. And I think that type of communication, whether it's with the athletic director, head coaches, even assistant coaches, I think is huge. And the more communication that you have and sit down and talk to coaches about your vision, what you want to do, and then over the years, show them the statistics, show them, this is what I'm seeing in the weight room. These are the numbers that I'm getting from kids. This is the improvement I'm seeing. Now look at the wins and losses. Look at our record. Is it making a difference? Look at our injury track. How many injuries do we have before? Now how many injuries do we have now? What are the common injuries that we're having? Maybe it's something not only strength conditioning, maybe it's how they do their warm up with their practices every day. Maybe it's about how they do their cool down. Maybe they're not cooling down at the end of practice. There's so many different elements that a strength coach can bring to a school besides just pumping iron and weight.
Now, you just mentioned taking a look at the injuries, the type of injuries, the occurrence. You can also do it by season, by sport. Is again another example of how an alignment with the strength and conditioning coach and the athletic training really works well.
Yeah, I mean, me as an athletic trainer, it helps me because I know exactly what we're looking for. And then Larry Fitzpatrick, our head athletic trainer, we actually share the same office. So he does a great job with our athletic training program and our sports medicine staff. And that communication is ongoing here. And whether it's a kid who just got injured or a kid who's coming back from injury, working together, develop programs to make sure they get back on the field. And even just from, he may say to me, the track guys are all coming in with a lot of, hip flexor pain or hip flexor issues. What are you guys doing for your warm-ups? And I'll take another look at that. So a lot of dialogue, a lot of communication to make sure that we're each trying to help each other out and work with each other.
Great. Steve, in your mind, what are the major reasons why there should be a high school strength and conditioning program, strength and conditioning in high school?
Two main reasons that I can think of. Number one is to help prevent injuries. And it goes back to my athletic training years. I remember so many kids coming into the athletic training room with injuries, and some of it's, I don't think could prevent it, but a lot of it could have been prevented had the athlete done, a really systematic strength and conditioning program addressing flexibility concerns, strength concerns, overall conditioning, and so I think from that perspective alone, I think you can prevent some injuries. You can't prevent everything.
Right.
But also what I see is the kids who do get injured, who do a lot of training, they actually recover quicker. And so from an injury recovery perspective, I think kids do recover a lot quicker. And I've seen some kids who also went through some ACL surgeries and ACL repairs that bounced back quicker because they were in great shape before the before the injury happened and got themselves in great shape before they had the surgery and bounced back a lot quicker and have seen good success since then. So I think that plays a huge piece. The second one is to just really improve performance. I mean, to try to get better. I mean, we deal with kids who want to play at all different levels. Kids who want to play at the college level. Kids, we have a few kids here at Milton that got drafted to the NHL. So a lot of kids come here with high expectations and high goals. And so this is a great time in their development to really not only learn how to train, but put it all together and really see how far they can go and see how far they can really take their whole physical enhancement to the next level.
Yeah, and what really is special, I think, as I've observed in our athletes over at UCI, is when the athlete realizes how their performance levels have been enhanced by the strength training. Maybe they'll come to you and talk to you about it.
Yep.
And whether it be they're getting around quicker on the bat, bat speed, or just kicking a ball farther, or working with kickers, but the durability aspect too, and the reduction. I always talk to our athletes and say, you play. Injury is inherent in sport. You're not going to totally prevent injury, but you can greatly enhance the incidence.
Yep. And one of the things that we try to help with, we have a lot of kids here that play multiple sports and short at BC High. And one of the things, again, that the coaches really do a good job with helping me is really buying into a good, solid in-season training program. A lot of our teams right now are actually required at varsity sports to do 2 days a week of in-season training. It's a requirement that our athletic directors handed down to our coaches. And that was one of the things that I had to take on since I got here 10 years ago. And it's been lots of various things, whether it's a weight room workout, whether it's some body weight circuit training that we do downstairs in the field on the courts with certain teams. But the kids and the coaches see how it can really keep their strength levels up. And in some cases, they get stronger during the season. And in some cases, we really see at the end of the year, us really doing a great job finishing games. We had a great run for the New England title of hockey, and I think a lot of it was because those guys really bought into strength and conditioning. We were the best team in the third period. We overcame a 3 overtime playoff game, and the next 2 days later had to play in the New England tournament at the end. And so just their conditioning, I think they finally saw at the end of all the work that they put in.
Right. That whole idea of once you're in season is basically detraining effect that you're going to have, but you can not eliminate it, but you can reduce the rate of detraining by once or twice. I try to go twice a week, but you just mentioned in-season training. That's great.
And again, it's to have coaches take that 30 minutes out of their regular practice time and put that into a strength conditioning program. I mean, that's huge.
Tough thing to do.
That's a very tough thing to do. Time and space is so limited, and we're not functioning at the college, but as any aspiring varsity level coach, he wants to have his kids as long as he can for that afternoon, whether it's 2 hours or 90 minutes. But to even give up 30 minutes of that time because he knows how important it is, or she knows how important it is, it's been a great benefit for me here.
Steve, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that you find yourself facing as a high school strength and conditioning coach?
One of the biggest challenges is, I think of a couple of things. Number one is, listening to Greg Cook 10 years ago talk about the function movement screen. And we do the function movement screen here during the school year in the summertime. And I've learned how to really use it to understand what are the common themes that I see as far as movement patterns go. And then you see the same thing when you see a kid in a squat rack or you see a kid on a Olympic platform. And so what I'm seeing is that a lot of kids, whether it's just kids nowadays or maybe it was different back 20 years ago, but a lot of kids are coming in with a lot of dysfunctional movement patterns. Whether it's just really bad posture with tight shoulders, kids. It's kids, our technology today, we think about it, kids are texting, kids are on the computer, kids are playing video games, sitting in class all day long for 6 to 8 hours a day. everything's coming forward. So the shoulders are getting really tight, the back's getting weak, the hips are getting tight, the glutes are getting weak, everything kind of shutting down. So I now spend probably at least 40 to 45 minutes getting kids to warm up properly before we pump the weight every day.
Yeah.
Because we have to address those issues all the time.
I noticed that last week.
And it's one of those things where they have to constantly be doing it. And it's one of those things where I don't want to load a kid with a bar or anything until things start moving better and things start moving more efficiently. I talk about kids, when they're doing homework at night, try to sit up and work on your posture. Think about a hockey player. We deal with kids who maybe doing specializations. A kid at my place plays hockey 9 months of the year. So he's bent over playing hockey, getting his hips tight, then all day long he's in school getting tight. So again, it's this battle that I have trying to get kids to move better and all the restrictions they have and how difficult they can be to do that. But once we get there, it's the kid finally understands it, he sees how he can move better, and now it's about maintenance, keeping that going all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that, last week we were in and videoing the camp, and we're putting a lot of attention to the posterior chain, and also pushing and pulling exercises, looking at this muscle. Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
Good attention.
Yep.
Great.
And then I think one of the other things that we deal with to try to combat is the kid who maybe tends to really flock to basketball and trying to get them to play other sports. And one thing that we've done here at Milton is I've combined my after-school program with our track and field program to get kids to understand that you want to get faster, you want to get stronger, you want to get quicker. There's no other better sport than track and field.
Right.
And so to combine my weightlifting program with the track and field team has really enticed kids to come out and track and field.
I really find that interesting because over the last dozen or so years, I have my relationship with our track coach John Norman and his team, assistant coaches. Out of all the sports, at the track and field program, year round, I work with the cross country kids in the fall and winter track season we work. So it's almost like a 3-part in-season program.
Yeah.
Working with track and field.
Yeah. And we've seen some great results. And time commitment's tough for some of the kids at Milton. If they've done a sport in the fall, they've done a sport in the winter, they kind of want to take that spring to maybe just relax a little bit more. And I can understand that. But our track season is so short; it's about 8 weeks long. And trying to get the kids to do something different for 8 weeks, instead of pounding the basketball for another 8 weeks or going out and playing hockey for another 8 weeks, like take the skates off, get rid of the basketball, do something different, cross-train, get your body to do something you're not used to, and at the same time it's going to help you in your main sports when it comes to next season. So, and some kids have actually seen that and benefit from that.
Oh, sure. That's great. Steve, just taking a look at the facility that you have here, the various types of equipment that you're fortunate to have. What would you say, to aspiring strength and conditioning coach in high school? What equipment do you use most often? How does your program fit? In terms of the type of equipment you use?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I look back 10 years ago, and a lot of the stuff is still here, but I've added lots of different things just because I've learned more by being out at different clinics and reading things in different journals about what's sort of out there. I think I'm a big advocate for free weights, so I think barbells, dumbbells, bumper plates for the Olympic lifts. That's a little bit, maybe a little more expensive for some schools. Again, I'm fortunate to have the platforms and the rubber plates to help me when I teach Olympic lifts, but I think is very important. I'm a big advocate for Olympic lifts for many reasons. Number one, to be able to do a really good Olympic lift like a power clean, it tells me that the athlete has good mobility, good stability, good power, good strength, everything that we're looking for in athletes. Again, I go back to Ray Cook talking about the functional movement screen. If I can get kids to move well on the platform, I know their movement screen is going to get better. And so I still, work with them downstairs, warming up before we come upstairs, and then trying to do that warm up and then progress them on the platform, I really see a lot of great results. Other types of equipment that I've built that I've got along the way are kettlebells. I learned about them about 6-7 years ago, and they're a great tool. There's a lot of things you can do with them, but again, I don't think it's the answer. I wouldn't want to be just the kettlebell guy that you hear about in this gym that just do kettlebell training.
Sure.
I wouldn't think that's a great place for an athlete. The athlete needs more than that. There are things like TRX, which is sort of suspension training. That I really like to do with some of our auxiliary lifts that we do that engages core and lots of different things. I like outside working with sleds and the battle ropes. I think those are great tools again to help us with our conditioning, to add something different to the routine, so it's not always that type of conditioning where you're running hills and running shuttles. Let's do more of a circuit, so we're going to do battle ropes and we're going to push sleds and we're going to take med balls.
The battle ropes are certainly recruiting the core.
Yeah, and again, it's full body power, full body strength. So that's to me, I look at equipment, I want to see how well can I use it, can everybody use it, and how well does it work in my programs. I can't get something like a Vert Max because it's a very expensive piece of equipment, and I couldn't have just one of those because then I'd have a group of 25 waiting to get on the Vert Max. So I have to think of that as a high school strength coach. When I'm dealing with a team of 25 or 30, I can't have just one great big piece of equipment.
And when you're saying that too, you know that there are some great benefits with the Vert Max.
Exactly. But I can't.
It's not cost effective.
It's not cost effective, and it just, I don't know how I put it into my program because I don't run small groups.
And you can't have it.
And I can't have it.
Which a lot of us would like to have.
Yeah. But I still think, traditional free-weight training done properly, done the right way, to me that hasn't changed in 20 years.
Right.
Or even go back even longer than that to my high school years. I mean, it still works. It still has to be done the right way. It still has to be progressed the right way. But, I would put that up against some of the crazy stuff that I'll see out there.
And I recently mentioned in one of my blogs that I agree with you that the Olympic and Paralympic freeways can and should be the foundation of a young athlete's development.
I totally agree, but there's some people who put those on a bad mark because their athlete wasn't taught properly, wasn't taught the right way. So I'll get sometimes very concerned parents about whether their son or daughter should be involved because they hear some negative.
Yeah, you do hear because from coaches I hear, it's too difficult. It takes too long to train these guys.
Yeah.
And I think that again, we talked about this at some point. If it's done properly and you work, like I'm big on clinics, holding clinics in the between seasons, between the fall and winter season, between the winter and spring season, and that allows the student athletes to transition from one season to another. They have about a week or so that they can join and go over it.
Exactly. I totally agree with that, Mark. And at the beginning of every one of my programs, whether it's the fall season, winter season, spring, summer, we always go back to basics. Whether they're experienced or not, everybody needs a refresher. The new kids need a refresher, and then ones that are new to training will stop. And then from there, depend on where we're going to go as far as progressions go. Now, if someone who's new, we're going to progress them a lot slower, as you know. Someone who's experienced, then we start them back on a regular progression, but we still always go back to basics those first few weeks.
So you got to review, like any other skill in any other sport too.
And as a coach, it's good for me too because I've been down in the trenches for a while, but there's still coaching cues I need to pick up on, and it's still things I have to be better at, and it challenges me whenever a new kid steps on the platform, whether it be a hockey player, basketball player, or whoever. Now I've got a new challenge every time a new kid steps up, and that kid always has something different than the last kid has. So I can't always rely on the same coaching cues all the time.
Yeah, and then that brings us to the summer, where student athletes are out of school for the most part. They can't come to school, but they're out of school. Their sports generally continue. A football player would be looking maybe in his pre-season mode.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, again, we're going to feature your camp that you have, and you know, I thought you were looking at it. You did a wonderful job bringing in you know, different levels. Level 1 group, you know, novice kids just starting out, ages
14, 13, 14.
13, 14.
Yeah.
And then you have the level 2 and 3 kids, kind of mixed.
High school.
So those high school level, and you know, some, and probably you have the level 2 and 3 mixed, I would assume.
Yes.
Because they can't. Some kids, the level 3 can't make that late afternoon time slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, you have later in the afternoon. I was highly impressed with some of the top level 3.
Thanks. The summer to me is that's my funnest time of the year because, and I think it should be their fun time because now school's out. For me, there's no more meetings, there's no more emails. Now I can focus really full-time strength conditioning, and with the student, no more grades, papers, you know, tests. Now they can really focus on really training. And even that is difficult because some of them do have to, especially the juniors and seniors, have to go do some clinics, have to go to some camps to get that college recognition. And I totally understand that they have to do that. But it does throw a little wrench into consistency. And that is the toughest part for every kid. No matter how good the program is, as you know, if it's not done on a consistent basis, there's no adaptation and you don't get the results in the end. So it is a battle. And we try to work with our kids in the summer to try to, you know, if they're taking off late Friday afternoon, try to bring them in a little bit earlier with the younger group so they at least get something in before they take off. But again, it's a type of year where I think you put it all together. And then come fall, whether you're doing football, you do your in-season training, and then transition to fall. Maybe if you're a winter athlete, you transition into a preseason program for the fall. So the summer got you ready for that preseason program. And I've seen great results of kids coming in the summer, really learning how to lift, you know, learn the program, and then put it all together come September. And then also November that they're way ahead than they were the year before. So I find summer to be such a huge part of the training year.
And one thing that I've noticed over the years of these 23 years is I found that if an athlete attends the summer program, our summer program, generally at the end of those 4 years in high school, those are the athletes that I found, not always, but the majority of those guys that attended the program go on and are successful in college programs as well.
Yep.
A lot of kids come back and say, how did you fit in? How did things go for you in the first year? And they say, I was way ahead of most of them in terms of my knowledge, how I executed the list, what was expected out of the program.
Yeah, I see the same thing. I guess I get great feedback too from alums who come back and they feel so much more comfortable in the weight room at the college level than some of their other kids because of the knowledge and the teaching they've had in the past. But it's funny, there's also kids who don't go on to college athletics, but they have built this sort of, lifelong skill, and they want to continue doing it. And I actually just went to a reunion, and a couple the students came up to me, and thanked me again for getting them involved. And now they're doing triathlons, they're doing marathon training, they're doing different types of things because they kind of really want to continue at whatever level they can, and whether it's again with the college team or just something on their own. So those are always great things to hear.
Sure.
When they come back.
Great.